Bienvenidos and welcome a Cositas Mommy Never Told Me, a podcast that dives deep into the Latin cultural norms that have long haunted the feminine genre. Montate and buckle up porque it's going to be a roller coaster ride. Nos fuimos! Hey girl.
Hi, Diana and Diana squared.
Double D's in the building.
Let's go in all ways, shapes, and forms. Double D's, triple D's, J's and H's, K's, elemental P.
Oh my God, we have the honor of having this amazing Latina. Oh my God, I am so happy to have Miss Diana Zapata, beauty wellness instructor, but she's so many other things. And I met Diane, I want to say, oh my God, how many years ago? And it's
over 5 years ago.
It's been over 5 years. And I met her through my girlfriend, Diana, and she was doing massages.
So many Dianas and Dianas. All the D's are connecting, which is perfect for this podcast.
But you know what? You know what was important about the meeting through Diana? If Diana mess with somebody, then I know they're good.
Right.
Because Diana, you already know, Diana don't mess with nobody that's phony. So I was like, if Diana messing with her, then she good. And then I met her and forget it. We've been friends ever since. She has magical hands. As I just, before we started this, I was like, girl, your magical hands are amazing. And for the people that follow me or follow the podcast, she was also part of me getting a head scalp, which she will talk about that too. It was amazing. And we will post all the information of where you can get whatever and all that stuff. But this is Diana Zapata. Welcome, honey.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me after many years of us talking, of getting on the podcast. I'm finally here. So I just want to say that I'm very proud of you. Rocio, I just met you and you guys do the perfect duo. So you guys complement each other very well. But I'm very proud of you. I've seen the growth. I've seen I know how much time it takes and how much 0 views it takes for you to get up and fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing it and keep doing it until somebody watches. So I'm very proud of you and thank you so much for having me here.
Of course. So I want to say a little bit and then you just, jump on in. But I know that you came to the United States from Colombia at a very young age, but then you said that your mom came first and you came over when you were 9. You want to say a little bit about that, just your transition, how you got here? Because this episode is about the American dream. So I just want to make sure that people see that when people come from other countries, and I'm not talking about, some Puerto Ricans do it, but not really. But I see it so much in Colombian people. I see it so much in Peruanos, Dominicanos. They come to this country and they go all out. So I just want you to share what your experience was coming, your transition, learning English and all that stuff.
So my mom came to the United States and we stayed in Colombia. It was my sister and I. We stayed in Colombia. My dad has passed away. So we stay with the rest of our family, which it was grandma and grandpa, which is very common, in the Latin, I don't even want to say Central America and South America. I think in the whole Latino community for the abuela and abuelo to take care of us, right? So we were left with grandpa and grandma and with aunts as well. We were very blessed to have so much love from these 2 individuals who literally gave us so much love to the point that, it was hard to feel my mom absent because they poured so much love into us and they made us feel so special. But again, nothing in this world will fulfill that space, that mom hug, that smell, that protection that you feel. So my mom was in this country and we didn't see my mom for about 5 years. So I
Wow.
came in this country when I was 9, and I didn't want her to come to the United States. I wanted to see mom, but I didn't want her to come to the United States because I was so attached to what I knew, my friends, my school, my grandparents, my food, my language, and again, in Colombia and all South America, we see these American movies, right? We see the snow, we see the princesses from
Not the
Disney.
snack.
So we see New York looking really fancy. So everything that the TV sells you. But still, when they tell you, hey, your mom sent the tickets and you guys are leaving, you're like, oh, this shit is real. Like, I'm leaving everything I know behind. So the transition for me was very difficult emotionally because I literally was leaving my whole life for 9 years. And when we get here, I remember my mom being in the airport and saying, so mind you, I never had cheeseburger in Colombia because we don't do fast food.
Mm.
So that was, that's when you realize the kids over here are privileged. I come from a place in Medellin where, at one point when I was little, I thought I was very poor, and now that I'm in the United States as an adult, I was rich because I was able to connect with nature. I was able to play barefooted. I was able to be disconnected from technology. The person and the resilience that I have today is thanks to how I grew up. So,
Mhm.
when you're little, you don't recognize those things. Now, I was blessed. I
Mhm.
was blessed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I came into this country, and the first thing that my mom said, "Do you guys want McDonald's?" We didn't even know what McDonald's was. That we took a bite from it. Well, no, I want rice, beans, bandeja paisa. Like, that's what I want.
Mhm.
So, it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions. It was very a culture shocking, from the language barrier. Um, but other than that, it's like a molar pain. At the beginning it hurts, but then you get used to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you come here and you start interacting with Caribbeans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, and they don't speak our language. Even though we all are Latino, the dialect is
Mhm.
different. you
Mhm.
know so I used to get bullied a lot, but since I was brought up in a really tough family, they couldn't bully me. So
I wasn't getting
um
that energy. I was like,
Right.
I got that.
no, not me. Not me.
They tried. You
They
tried it.
tried.
Right.
You tried
It
it.
took it took 3 days for me to let them know, not here.
Right.
Not here. Whether it's Spanish or English, but not here. So, again,
I
when
want
you
to know
come,
how you would say it in Spanish because Medellin is very specific. Shout out to J Balvin. And I'm like, how would you say that in Spanish from Medellin? You like, not here.
conmigo no. Aquí no fue. So, one of the advantages that we do have, and I think this is not only in Colombia, especially in South America, you have to pay for education, right?
Mhm.
Education is not free. So that means if your butt stay back, oh, um, I don't want to say that we don't have DCF, but you will get a big
Say
whooping
less.
because
Say
there's
less.
no money.
Right.
You can't stay back. Just put
Right.
it like that. So,
Ain't
parents are
nobody wasting their money.
Right.
so I think that because you have to pay for education in our countries in South America, I think that also now that I'm older, I'm able to put a lot of perspectives together. Over here, parents, over here, life is like boom, 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 right? Parents, sometimes we have two jobs. We have a full-time, a part-time job. mom and dad are always working. Over here, the household consists of two incomes versus in our home, because back in South America, and especially in Central America, it's funny that the moms, they stay home. They wait for the kids. They do their homework. They do their projects. They have time for that. Over here, go with a tutor. Go after school program. Some of us, including myself, with my 17-year-old, I had him with tutors. I had people help me because I had two jobs. I was going to school. So, you know, back home, it's not that we're smarter, but the education,
It's more important.
we have more pressure. We are way too advanced. So when I got here in Colombia, I was in 5th grade. When I got here, the only reason why they put me back on 3rd grade was because the language barrier.
Wow.
They didn't have the ESL program yet. So ESL was starting to come. And when we came here, my mom lived in West Hartford, so they didn't have a lot of ESL teachers
at all.
So that was back in 1997. So, it was very difficult for me. First of all, I didn't even know I was going to go into 3rd grade. I didn't even know I was going to go into 3rd grade. We walked. I remember that back home, I had to walk long, long streets to get to my school. Over here, I saw a bunch of yellow buses, right? And I told my sister, we can't get no bus. We walk. And I thought it was just one school, like in my neighborhood. It was multiple schools. So I told my sister, I know what I'm doing. So my sister believed in me. She said, okay, Dee, you know what you're doing. I said, we're going to follow every kid that we see with a backpack. So we ended up in the wrong school. We ended up in the wrong school. So it was a lot of transition. It was a lot of transitions, but like I said, you adapt. And then after, it took us about 2 years to fully get adapted. When we got here, we found out my mom had cancer, and all the appointments that she was going to, she couldn't understand because the language barrier. And, sometimes people say they speak Spanish, but they really don't. They be with the So they really don't know how to
Putting an A
articulate.
at the end of
Right.
every
And they
word.
don't know how to articulate. And literally, when it's medical diagnosed, how to deliver important information for our community.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it a job. I said, I'm gonna learn English real fast because I want my mom to fully understand what it's going on and how her treatments moving forward there will be. She missed a lot of her appointments. She missed mammography tests because she didn't understand. And like, very normal in the Latina community, mail piled up, and they will not read it. Next appointment. So within 2 years, I was already, not fluent in English, and I don't even think I'm fluent yet, but I'm very confident. So I felt really comfortable and really confident to translate, at least better than the other people, than the people. So, but other than that, I think that my journey here in the United States, it's been great. This country has gave me a lot of opportunities, and that's about it.
Do you think that your mom having cancer had a lot to do with you taking the nursing route, going that way into wellness and stuff like that?
No, um, you know, I get asked this question a lot. So back home, my grandma was a sobandera. So she was like a healer. So when people used to dislocate, they used to bring the people from the neighborhood. They used to bring them to her. So grandma, we had a big garden, and my grandma was local with her plants, with just homemade
Herbs and spices and all that stuff.
remedies, very holistic approach. And so my grandma house always smelled like roses, always smelled. She used to make her own oil. She used to make creams for the hair and stuff like that. So out of all her grandchildren, I will always assist her. And I remember the grandma always used to tell me, Diana, they always used to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I don't know. I'm the only one that don't have an answer. And one day I cried so much because, they asked that, and all my cousins answer, and I didn't know. So my grandma said to me, you gonna know when your hands, they start shaking and your feet feels like happy feet, because whatever spark joy to your heart is going to translate to your feet and your hands. So it took me long enough to answer these questions. I think that your hands are an extension of your heart, and now everything that I do, I feel that sensation. I don't like to say emotion. I feel energized. I feel energized when I connect with a body, when I connect with the skin. So I think that it comes from my grandma.
Oh,
That's dope. I love that.
It definitely comes from her. Nature comes very natural to me. Anatomy, people in nursing school used to hate it. Physiology, it comes very natural to me. So but no. Definitely, if anything, I wanted to be a translator. I wanted to be a translator, not only because my mom, but because I used to see other people, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. How do you really, hire people, especially in any field, but especially in the medical field where, it's your health. You really want to know the proper information. So if you don't speak Spanish, don't even apply. And if you are hiring, you can't just, you can't just hire because you say, hola, ¿cómo está? You can't do that.
right.
So, and for the parents, we really need to start drilling into our kids that Spanish is our first language. Like, we are Latinos. We should know the root or where we come from or our parents come from. So, but it's hard because, the first language here is English. So I get it. It's hard. I drew Spanish on my kids. Zoe's too, and she completely understands everything in Spanish. And my son, he said, Mom, I don't want to talk because I sound arroz aquí. I said, I don't care how you're gonna sound, you're gonna speak Spanish. And we have and we at home, I only talk to him in Spanish.
My mom sent me to middle school. Okay, so I was in all English, and then in 7th grade, she put me in all Spanish. So I was the only one with all Spanish speaking people. So I was with Mexicans, Peruvians, and all that stuff. So I was just like, oh. She was like, a ti se te va a quedar el español.
By any means necessary.
And back then, I was pissed off at her.
Yeah.
But now I am so happy that she did that, because if I didn't have those 2 years in middle school, I wouldn't have still had, like, I can translate anything, I can read anything, I can speak it. And, that thing that you were saying about people not knowing, to me, like, I was at the post office today because my mom and I were getting her a passport. And this lady comes in with a slip, and she's like, okay, so all three people working at the Washington Street. Now, you know what Washington Street is. It's right around the corner from Little Puerto Rico and Little Mexico, right? All three people were English-speaking people. No Spanish. I'm like, okay, first mistake. This lady comes in with a tag, and she's like, mira. There's a line. Estoy aquí. I'm here to pick up, para recoger mi paquete. And everybody turns around like, and the lady's like, there's a line. So she stands in line. She's behind us. So then she goes to the lady, mira, aquí estoy para recoger mi paquete. And the same thing to the lady. And the lady was like, I don't know. Box?
Yeah.
Then the lady's like, mira, mi amor, tú me puedes, asking me, can you help me? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, but then she got to go to UPS. And she was at the post office. So I'm like,
oh, dang.
So in my head, I'm like, how are you navigating this world? You know what I'm saying? So then I was like, who are you with? And she's like, with somebody in the car. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'll go with you to tell them where you need to go. I go over there and I was like, okay, you know where UPS is? She was like, Spanish. I was like, okay, so both of y'all don't know English? Okay, so you know where UPS is? Yo le dije, ¿tú sabes dónde está UPS? Sí. Okay, oh, perfecto. So tienen que ir para UPS. I was like, okay. And she was like, no, nosotros llegamos casi el otro día aquí. I was like, oh, okay. But it's like,
Yeah.
I felt so
But
bad.
you know what happens?
Oh
they
my
land in
gosh.
that nucleus in that neighborhood, and then they never feel a need. So it works both ways, you know.
Right.
Like if you're from here, you don't feel a need to speak Spanish, which I try to do with my daughter all the time, like Diana said. But then it's like if you land here in Little Puerto Rico, you're like, bueno, yo estoy bien aquí, yo no tengo que aprender.
Porque te dan trabajo en Walmart.
Because they go like this, and it's like your blocks are your nucleus, and then
Yeah.
That's
until you go to USPS and you need to be at UPS.
no, but that is so true. And again, I don't know if it's a Latino thing, but I can only talk on Latinos because I'm Latina, so I have the power to talk about it.
That's
so
right.
I feel that when you are in the over wait because I'm 36, I don't want to say 36 older. When you come here older, right? Older. I'm not going to put a number
Age
to
on
what's
it.
older. People feel comfortable within their community, and they don't want to come out of the comfort zone, right? So my mom has been in this country for about, I want to say, 36 years, and she never felt the need to learn English, never. And when I approached her about it, I said, Mom, she said, why, what school I was going to go? I had to have 2 jobs, Diana. I'm a single mom. I had to have 2 jobs. Plus, I go to the grocery store and they understand me. So literally, my mom will go to, oh my God, I forget the market. They sell fish, and it's Asian people. And, apple tree. She would literally let them know that she want the fish without head, like fish. That was her way of telling them to cut the fish head off. It's like, so she, they find their way, and the Asians being minority too, they understand them. So, because they feel so they feel so comfortable, and I'm pretty sure any person my age that came from South America, Central America, they know that sometimes we're like, oh my God, here go again, I have to translate. So we feel like we are the translators of the family. Sometimes, it's play safe to say I forgot Spanish, because you tire of translating. So, but yeah, I think that it doesn't matter what age you get in here. I think that you need to stop watching so many soap operas and realize that, yes, we are in America in some way. How we have to, you don't have to be fluent, but you need to open your mind. You need to open your mind, because this is going to open so many opportunities for you. Even if you're a janitor, even if you want to go into wherever you are, in any position, I think that being bilingual, trilingual, or just knowing another language is going to open the doors for you. Number one, personally, you're going to feel like you achieved something else. Second of all, financially. Financially will open so many doors. So, but yeah, so now I could say that I'm almost trilingual, because I'm on my 3rd level of Portuguese, and I love it, and I'm drilling that to my daughter now.
Resilience, huh?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Theo?
No, I mean, for me, the questions begin in like, so you were here, your mom was here, and you went into nursing, like you said. And the podcast being about the American dream is really, and what interested me about talking to you is like your desire, and your not only desire, but your hunger and your eagerness, and then your ability to build these significant businesses. So you kind of, I would love for you to talk us through. You started in the nursing space, but now it's kind of taken on a life of its own, but still allowing yourself to be in a space where you have so much joy in what you do. So what was that journey like? So you're here, you learn English, and you're like, because it's so easy to be like, oh, I would love to do this, but nobody goes and does it. Like 20 people, I want to own a nail salon, I want to own a business, I want to start this thing. And not even one, maybe half a person starts a business plan and then doesn't even do it. So it's like from an idea to an execution, to me as a business person, is always what interests me. And then the hurdles that came in the way while you're continuing, because even before we got on the call, now you're transitioning to something new. It's like I feel like you're ever evolving.
So first of all, let's start by saying that it gets even harder when, again, it's not only a culture thing, but it's also a family thing where mom is so busy working and you don't have you don't have a mom that and not to say nothing bad about my mom, because that would take us to a whole different conversation where
that's why this podcast exists, honey.
Right. So number one, I come from a city in Colombia that is known for industrial, is known for businesses. So even though Medellin is not the capital of Colombia, you go all over Colombia and you ask them who runs Colombia in business, they're going to tell you paisas. That's how they call us, right? They call Medellin people paisas. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs in Medellin. There's a lot of little businesses, even in the neighborhood. I had my grandfather was a photographer, so he had his little business going. And I had a little best friend in Medellin who her mom used to sell mangoes. And grandpa, you always used to tell me, don't go with her to sell mangoes because I don't want people to see you outside the school selling mangoes. And I used to lie to him. I said, okay, no problem. once they go to sell their mangoes and I come home, no. Her name was Patricia. I became Patricia #1 seller on mangoes outside school. So I'm very competitive, and in a healthy way, but I'm competitive. So knowing that out of her 2 children, I used to sell the most, and I used to sell the most because I used to tell jokes or I used to rhyme little songs, blah, blah, blah. So we get here, and my mom is always been she's always been a janitor. She has worked by herself or by companies as a janitor. And when I was about 14 years old, it was a lot of roller coaster going on. And my mom said, Dianita, I need you to come work the 3rd shift job with me, cleaning. And I said, okay. I said, if that's going to bring more money for the household, okay. So, going to clean with my mom and seeing how my mom had to hydrate her hands constantly because of the Clorox and all this, since I knew it, since I saw that, I said, no, I need to go to school. I need to get myself a career because some way how I can't be my mom. I can't be my mom. I can't have 3 jobs. And it's 3 sisters. Out of the 3 sisters, naturally, because I was always la patica de mi abuela, I always used to put my cream. As a little girl, my cream hydrated. My hair, I'm like, my hands can't look like that. So in my heart, it was always that little spark to have my own business. So to me, it was a little bit hard because when I used to bring it up to my mom was like, Diana, that's nonsense. You're a dreamer. You dream too much. Mm-hmm. You have to get a job. You have to get a job. You dream too much. And I said, okay. So I just never shared those dreams with her because she will always smash them down. I would bring it up to other family members and they'll be like, no, honey, no. But I always used to sell things in school. I always used to make, anybody from the high school would tell you, I used to do their makeup in school. I used to do their facials in school. And I said, one day I'm going to have my own business. Mm-hmm. So I started going to school to become a social worker. But I didn't feel what my grandma told me, that little spark in my heart. I didn't
You
feel
know
it.
what? Not to cut you off, but it's so funny because what keeps playing in my head is that your grandmother was an entrepreneur too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Even though she was doing it in her home in curandera and in it, you don't see it as like because of what she's doing, but like your grandfather, the photographer, all you saw was her as an entrepreneur as well. She was like putting things together and creating things and giving, selling, however she did it. But that's very entrepreneurial in her mindset too.
Yeah.
And her ability to tell you you're going to feel it in your hands and your feet is something of someone who doesn't clock in and clock out, So it's like it started ingraining all these things in you. I think that's so dope.
She plays a big, she plays a big role on who I am today. And so I was going to school for social, to become a social worker. And I said, oh no, that's too much. Like I kept hearing and just hearing stories, and I'm like, you know what? Energy wise, I think that's too much. And when I feel overcharged, I'm not myself. I'm kind of like I utilize too much of my higher vibration to compensate. Where I'm like, no. So I changed. And I became a licensed practical nurse. I went to Stone's Academy and I finished the LPN program. And when I finished the LPN program, I was literally on the field for about, I want to say, 3 years. And after 3 years, I decided to go. I was 24, 25, and I decided to go to Colombia and get my surgery done. I had a tummy tuck done. And when I was in Colombia, people that helped me recovered, they did such a wonderful job. They took care of me in a way. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I fly back home and I couldn't find nobody to keep my post-op services. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Who's going to do my massages? I was still swollen. I was still bruised. Who was going to remove my stitches? Because over here, they don't like to touch surgeries from overseas. I'm like, oh my God. And look how the universe works. This colleague and friend, her name is Isaura. She never, she didn't have an Instagram. She don't promote herself. People knew her because of word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she was doing makeup on someone who owned a Identidad Latina, the newspaper.
Oh, the newspaper.
And they bargained. They said, you do my makeup and I'll put you in Identidad Latina. I never buy the newspaper. But that day I was so desperate, I said, let me see if I can find somebody in the newspaper. So I was the only person who reached out to her, and that was the only time that she put herself in the newspaper. So when she came, she was the person who did my massages for me to recover. And I said to her, how long you been doing this? And she said, this has been my career for my whole life. Once I left college, my father's a doctor, and once I left the university, I knew what I wanted to do because I felt it in my hands and I felt it in my heart. I said, oh my God, my grandma told me. So she said, I don't see myself doing anything else. And I saw so much joy on her. And I'm like, I want to be able to talk about a job like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that my friends and my mom, they think I'm crazy, but I need to find what sparked joy to my heart. So I told her, I'm in the medical field. Why don't you teach me how to do this? How much will you charge me? And she said, no, I could give you where you could go and learn the proper way. But I can't just teach you. So long story short, one day, to be specific, I was in Jefferson Radiology where I worked at the time. And I remember this doctor came inside the lunch area and he was always happy. And I said to him, Dr. Z, are you always this happy? It's 6:30 in the morning. He said, I was born to be a doctor. My heart, my hands, they spark joy. I said, say no more. I started researching. And I put in, by then I had met my partner now. And I talked to him and I said, I just want to find something that I could express myself the way that these people are expressing themselves. And he said, well, I support you. And I said, I have to ask you, you support me with a tap on my shoulder or you support me financially? Because, and not to sound like a gold digger, but what does, it's two types of support.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
It's a type of support, because if you're telling me you supported me with a tap on the shoulder, then I know that you're going to be there maybe to take care of my kid while I go to school, while this, while that. Now, if you're telling me you support me financially, I'm on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, with a tap on the shoulder and financially.
Oh,
2 weeks
look at that.
later,
What a blessing.
I was gone. I left and I started my journey. I started my journey. I started learning. I came back after a month and a half, and I started working from my room. I converted my room into a treatment room. So half of my room was my bed, and the other half was the treatment room. And I used to joke around. I said, I can never be late for work, because all I had to do was pull up the curtain. So, but I always used to treat that room like it was the biggest clinic. I always create an experience for the people that came. And within 6 months, I was out of the medical field to go completely on my own. And ever since, I've been on my own, with ups and downs, with a lot of mistakes, with a lot of lessons. But I'm here, and there is nothing in this world that will make me go back, unless I have to. If I have to, I have to. But I think right now, 10 years later of doing this is where my heart is. And I think that we all should follow our heart. So that's how I got into the entrepreneur part. And I love it. And you have to love what it comes with it, because it's not just only, peaches and cream. It's a lot. It takes
Well,
it takes a lot.
I know that I met you when you were in Manchester, and that was a smaller location. And then you said, by the way, I'm moving. I was going to her, I want to say for like a month. And she says, by the way, I'm moving. And she was so excited. And, I can tell immediately just by the way that when I went into your space and I saw, because you have the ability of making the person, your client, your consumer, have all the senses going when you're going into your space. You go into her space, there's visuals, there's smell, there's things you can touch.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is happening at the same time. So I'm going in there like
and I always wanted to
I love that.
I think that one of the things that I've been blessed, and honestly, I think that this is something that people who we have an open mind, we are blessed, because nowadays the majority of people that are not successful is because they have a closed mentality. They don't like to adapt to evolution. So having an open mentality doesn't mean that you're not going to get upset. Doesn't mean that, people get confused with having an open mentality. People get confused when you say I'm positive, because then they think that you can be mad, that you can be upset. I'm a positive person. I have an open mentality. And there's times where I have to talk to myself and be like, Diana. And I have to have an open mentality to have a dialogue with my egos, right? Because sometimes there's so many sides, there's so many areas of egos. And I have traveled a lot, and I said I am blessed because I do have an open mentality. Now in days, I don't have a problem to sit down and learn from somebody that has only been in the field for 3 months, or sit down with somebody that's been in the field for from the era of the dinosaur. I am here to absorb everything. And in all those trips, you learn different things. Is everything going to resign with you? Probably not. But then my backpack of wisdom, I put outside and I go in with an empty backpack. Whatever resigns with me, I take it. Whatever don't, I put in the
Mhm.
little backpack. And through the years, as I evolve, I like to personalize every treatment with a client. So I'm like, this person has anxiety. Let's start with the smell. The smell will
Mhm.
calm you down. The music, the colors. So I think having an open mind have helped me a lot to be able
Mhm.
to create a momentum for you, an experience for you, to have you decompress and
Mhm.
leave my place not the same way that you came in. So thank you
Right.
so much for acknowledging that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Not only that, but also when you go to Diana for any type of service, like let's say when I went, I wanted to get the massages done, and she said, "Well, let me do a consultation." And I was like, okay. And I'm going to let you know whether or not I'm going to take you. And I was like, oh, okay. Because other
Mm-hmm.
places, they just going to take you. They going to take
Mm-hmm.
your money. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that was very impressive, not only because of that, like you're not trying to upsell or anything, but you made a conscious effort to make sure that you're making a connection with your client and to let them know, hey, maybe, okay, this won't work for you, but maybe this will work for you, you know? So I love that. And I also love, love, love that your hands, oh my God, and Isaura's hands, okay? Because,
Well, shout
these
out to
people,
her because she follow you guys, and
oh, Isaura!
she follow you guys. You
Oh
know
my
she loves
God.
you, Diana,
Oh
and
my God, yeah.
she again, she is someone that I love, I respect, and a lot of the stuff that I know is because of her. She became a step for me to go up, and I will always love her and treasure everything she taught me.
And you guys are honest too, which was the last thing I was going to say.
Absolutely.
You guys are totally honest. If you come in there and you want something, like, let me tell you, there was this one week where I had eaten a little bit more, and she was like, Diana, if you want this to work, you need to stop. And I was like, I know this week was really bad. I ate this week. She was like, because last week you was looking really good. This week, I don't know what's going on. And this is after months of being together, right? But it's just like, okay, but the honesty, it's just, so the smells and everything, and then it goes on from location to, it went on from location to location. So I really appreciated that as an empath, as I call myself an empath. Like, I like to make sure that all my senses are engaged. Not only
Yeah.
that, I like that you're like totally real and just like to connect. So that's all amazing stuff.
So,
Yeah.
Diana, since I've never been to your place or had any of your services, I would love for you to tell our viewers, because I think we have an idea of what you do, but I still don't know like what your services are and what the structure of your, like, is it a spa? Is it what kind of treatments? Is it someone sees you or sees someone else, the woman that Diana mentioned? What is the setup of your business now as an entrepreneur?
So now, let me tell you something. Over the years, not only that I have changed locations, but I also have changed my wording to what it is now.
Mhm.
That I love to call it wellness retreat. When I first started, I used to say, "Come to the spa, come to the spa."
Mm-hmm.
I okay.
No, you're here.
No,
Um,
you're good.
it implies to it's a big field. So I found my niche because I found what I love, right? So if I need to describe myself, I am a post-start rehabilitation specialist. I started I started with facials first. And I love the part of facials, love it. But I don't treat acne clients. It took me a while to separate acne acne is something that I have so much respect for. And also, it doesn't align with me because it overcharged me with all the emotionals that comes along with people that unfortunately have acne. So I don't specialize in acne. I do specialize, however, in anti-aging and other skin conditions. But my niche, my specialty is rehabilitation of post-operative care. Meaning when you go and get an elective surgery, I help you rehabilitate after. We literally will enhance the surgeon work even more. But before we get to the sculpting part, we will help the systems that been injured to rehabilitate from the inside out. So when you come, so the majority of people that look for me, they look for them. They go and they get surgery, let's say an abdominoplastic, a liposuction. So I'm constantly getting updated with what's new in the OR with the plastic surgeons. I have traveled to Brazil, Mexico, you name the country, wherever. Only place that I haven't been is to Thailand. That, believe it or not, surgeries are big over there.
I was gonna say I never, because I know
Oh,
Turkey,
Thailand
obviously
is,
South America, but I never
yeah,
heard
for
Thailand.
transgenders is big. For transgenders
Oh,
is
okay.
big. So it is a big difference when men get surgery, men that are converting get surgery here versus when they go to Thailand. They do a way better job. I have clients that, oh my God, facial, face, body, it's like day and night. So because my services don't have a gender, I cater to men, women. I would like to emphasize a little bit more. I currently have about 4 clients that are, in the transitions to becoming a full woman, and they are from Thailand, and it's bananas. So that's one place that is on my bucket list, to go and see who I can connect to be in the OR. But that's pretty much what my niche is and what I'm known for. Um, Other than that, everything that has to do with the skin, from the scalp to the toes. So when I put into perspective, I said this is a whole wellness. It's a whole wellness. It's not just a spa. It's a wellness for you. Because I came to the conclusion that when, like Diana was describing, all the smell, the candle, the color, I'm trying to awaken all you sense. I want you to get to know yourself. The majority of people that I treat, they don't know how to breathe. They don't know how to breathe. They smell, but that doesn't mean that they're literally breathing. So I literally went to Mexico and took a whole class. It was with this shaman lady, and it was so super beautiful, where I got information where we don't learn how to breathe through our mouth after we're 3 years old. So that's why there's so many people inside. There's so many people that go unaware of what's going on in the room, because we don't breathe. We don't pause. So I decided to call any treatment, whether it's post-op care, whether it's a facial, whether it's a scalp. When you come to me, you're going to get a wellness experience. So that's what I offer. I offer a wellness experience.
Let me ask you, Diana, and now this is the business person in me. How do you, one, do places like this exist? Like, how do you, I guess my biggest question is, how do you protect yourself? Because you're dealing with someone who's post surgery, especially a lot of times with doctors who are not in the United States. So how do you protect yourself legally, or like just not only protect yourself, but then certify yourself as someone who specializes in this, when you're kind of now helping someone post surgery, but with things that are very like manual and body heavy? So how do you make sure that someone who comes to you doesn't harm your business or your reputation or anything like that?
That's such a good question. I'm gonna try to make it something like this. You know, and without offending anybody in the industry, there's a lot of people with necessary. So necessary have professionals do un sancocho, right? Licenses are extremely important. Post-op care is 3 phases: immediate care, intermediate care, and advanced. On immediate care is when you literally have just come out of the OR, right? You come out of the OR, medically wise, let's talk about liposuctions. Medical wise, whether it was an elective surgery or not elective surgery, incisions could only be stimulated, or even if stitches needed to be removed, it could only happen within 7 days, no more than 10 days, right? So for somebody to take care of you in the immediate care, which is incisional, where incisions are still fresh in liposuction, sometimes they fresh, depending on the surgeon, they leave them open or they saturate it with a stitch. If they're saturated with a stitch, then you know you have to remove them. You need to be in the medical field. You need to have a medical background for you to be able to see a patient after an elective surgery on immediate care. Intermediate care, you could wing it as a masseuse, as a massage therapist, as an esthetician. Is it completely safe? It's not, because depending on the rehabilitation of the client, of the surgeon, if the plastic surgery was done here outside of United States, now then you have to determine if it was done in the Caribbean, which is Dominican Republic, that they're more aggressive, and some of the doctors don't have the baser cannula yet, versus Colombia. So you have to determine. So if you are an esthetician or massage therapist that are in the surgery business, you're good to go into the intermediate care. First care, if you don't have a medical background, you shouldn't be touching them. And that's what I teach. Now, the advanced, that is the last one. That's when somebody is 3 months and up, then maintenance.
Like maintenance.
No, that's still recovering. You could be seen completely without no problem by a massage therapist, by an esthetician, because your incisions are completely closed. If this person have had an optimal immediate and intermediate care, because if she didn't go to the proper person in these 2 phases, the professional, the massage therapist or esthetician who is seeing this person and don't know how to evaluate what is a scar tissue, what is a fibrosis development, or you lost your money, this person is a liability for you. So I think that people that these can't just be for the weekend. These can't just be let me put this on my menu because I need to make extra money. I live for this. This is years of studying. You have to invest so much time, money. When I tell you money, it's a lot of money. Earn the respect of plastic surgeons so you could be able to be in an OR and see how everything functions. Be able to keep up with the updates, because they change that cannula every 6 months. They come out with, now they have Rejuvian, that is J plasma. You really have to go and study how the gas get developed. So many things. That's from the procedure itself. And then you have to invest into go study what equipment and what not, what pressures was. So you really really need to specialize on this to be able to help people and rehabilitate from elective plastic surgeons. Licenses are important. You don't want to do nothing out of your scope of practice. And then all this is regulated. Now, for body sculpting, it's completely different. Body sculpting right now in Connecticut is open for massage therapists, it's open for estheticians, it's open for people under just certification. But now you're talking about somebody that don't have a surgery, right? Or somebody that had their surgery.
Right. That was my question to you, because a lot of people want to do body sculpting. I know when I got my breast reduction, I had a very minimal amount of lipo done to have some fat put into my breast here in LA. And my surgeon had a list of people who he recommended to do the I guess it would be body sculpting massages, really, where the small amount of lipo was done. And it was literally probably 5 days post surgery. He's like, no, you're ready. You're ready. You should go 5-6 post days. But it's funny because these people he sent me to are very specialized in what they do. But if you go online, you can find a bunch of people who say they do it, but they don't. It's like you cannot just go to someone who's going to do body sculpting or with the wood, and he was very specific to, you don't want to do the wood. These are the people I recommend, because once you've done lipo, lots or little, I have girlfriends who have gone to payment, a few of them who did a lot of lipo, and it's serious work. It's like you have to know incision and how it moves and how it goes. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because everything you're saying about the 3 stages, I think it's great for our viewers to know, because you come out of surgery and you're like, oh, she does massages. She could probably massage.
And even with the body sculpting, I honestly, I can't wait for these to be regulated, because it's when I go to spas, my job, one of my main jobs now is, I feel like, I don't know if I'm gonna say his name right, Chef Ramsey. Is it Ramsey, the one that goes to the Rams?
Oh yeah, Ramsey.
So I go to the spas, right? And I have been working with my therapist on facial expressions. So because
I'm sorry, but as a Latina, I don't think you can do therapy for that.
It is. What the?
Because Diana and I talk with our eyes without speaking all the time.
You walk in there, and the first thing. So when they hire me, for 2 to 3 days, sometimes a week. So the first thing, I first started going just to teach. Then when I started teaching techniques, I'm like, no, I can't. No. I have to reprogram all this. So I go into their packages, and I ask, who does these packages? The person who does the package will sit with me. Oh, I do wood, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. The clients complain, there's no results, they're this and that. When I put a skeleton in front of them, a skeleton, my skeleton name is Lolita, so I bring her everywhere. So I put Lolita in front of them. People don't need. How can you call yourself a body sculptor?
They don't know. They don't know.
You don't even know how many ribs are in a rib cage. Whether you have surgery or not, you can't. And there's no other better way than to ask them, like, what about if you do get that particular client, right? The particular client that's laying down and tell you, oh my God, I'm so afraid you might break your rib. How many ribs do we have? And you don't even answer. That brings me back. I was joking around with a friend. You know how sometimes they say that reggaetoneros be like, don't you be scared when they say, ya tú sabes, y tú no sepas. Like, that's...
exactly.
Wait,
you're like,
whoa, what are you going to say? So it's like, yeah,
that's for another
podcast.
podcast.
What are you gonna say? She's like, well, I never thought of it. But how you in there? What do you mean you haven't thought of it? Before even buying that wood, you should have learned the anatomy of the body.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like when body sculpting first came out, it was like everyone was like, "Oh, I do body sculpting," and I'm like, I had never done it, but I was like, my girlfriend did it years ago, and she got so bruised, and I was like, that I didn't do it. When I had to have the sessions after my breast surgery, it was with hands. It was very specific. But I'm like, to me, bruising the way she was bruised, I'm like, I don't think that is like beneficial to the body in a way. I don't know. I could be wrong.
It all depends on how fragile.
But like when I tell you, it was bruising.
That could happen.
Like,
Unfortunately,
yeah, that's unfortunately, part of it.
That could happen.
Oh my God.
Could happen now. How and what did they do to her to bruise? That could be the problem. But bruising,
exactly,
when somebody has insufficient blood flow, matter of fact, you need to. You can't stop getting these treatments done because this is your circulatory system is closed. So that means there is no blood flow, meaning that thank God for that black and blue that you have in there, right? Because
it's telling you something, right?
It's telling you that your veins are breathing, like they're flushing out. That's why you are cramping. So there's so much. But then again, you go and you ask Pepita, Juanita down the street that just posts wood like this, blah, blah, blah. That's not.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
I honestly have blocked a lot of people because I'm holding myself not to comment like, what are you doing? And this profession, this profession this is one of the reasons why I transitioned to become an instructor, because I do take this to the heart. And I said, some of these people, they are doing this because they don't know better. They don't know better because nowadays I go back to an accessory. There is people offering 2-day training, 1-day training, become a body sculptor. Impossible. It's impossible.
You went somewhere for 2 months, you said?
You
went, and this is the thing, when you're going out looking for any type of service, whether it is liposuction, whether it is, you have to make sure that you're making and that you're doing the research. We said this on BBLs and titties. And one of the things that I did when Deanna was telling me about Diana, well, I noticed that she posts when she's about to go away. She posts the training that she does. She posts why she's taking the training. She posts, so she's always ahead of the curve about things that are up and coming. And she's even going to the conferences in New York, the wellness conferences and all that stuff.
I love to educate myself.
You can't pigeonhole yourself into a career and then say, oh, I know everything and stop. Right? You have to make sure, like, especially doctors, technology, anything like that, you have to continuously learn, continuously be open and stuff. So I'm glad that you're teaching people out here, because so many studios, because they saw that I went to you, reached out to me. Do you want to try? I'm like, no, I've been with the best. Why would I go somewhere?
I just think after all, in any career, this one and whichever
you read my mind.
Students. You will be successful. You remain a student, and success is guaranteed for you. And let me tell you, 4 years ago, I went to Hawaii to do a training with Tammy Cook. I love her dearly. She's in California. And I remember,
I've heard of her.
Tammy Cook.
I've heard of her. Yes.
She literally, I think there was a me before her and me after her. It was a big group, and literally one of my egos said, okay, let me see. What can I learn from her? Because I decided not to go to Portugal with my bestie Esty, with Isa. She told me to. She said, what are you gonna go do over there? We gotta go to Portugal. There's this big teacher. And I said, I'm gonna follow my heart. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. I went to Hawaii. When I got there, won the airport, all this money, and also I said, let me see what she's about. And get in the plane, we get in the house, beautiful house. And I remember that the first day that I met her, she started saying, I categorize my students with animals' personalities. So everybody was like, well, you're going to let us know what animal, this and that, this and that. I wasn't asking them, like, I don't want to know which animal. Like, no. So that was to be said towards the end. I remember when we were towards the beginning, the first day that we woke up for class, she was looking at me and said, Diana, today you walked in as a peacock, but I guarantee that you're going to walk out of here like an elephant. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm a peacock, then I'm going to be an elephant? And guys, let me tell you something. When she told me that I was a peacock, it didn't click to me right away. But then I was up at 2:00 in the morning. She woke up to grab a cup of water. And I told her, I said, can you explain to me, why did you say that I was a peacock out of everybody? She said, because out of everybody in this class, you're very knowledgeable, but your ego is not letting me teach you. Your ego.
Mm-hmm. And the peacock is very boastful. Yes.
This is why every time she will say something, she will go, like Diana, she's been all over this. So of course, like the peacock used to be like this. Oh, she humbled me down real fast because she knew where was my weakness. And that's where she said, I need you to decompress. I know you wisdom. I know you're wise, but let me teach you that I have big things that I want to pour into you. And ever since that, I said, no, I will remain a student for the rest of my life and my career, because I don't want to ever be a peacock. Well, sometimes in different scenarios, but sometimes you gotta be you gotta be an elephant with a pickup right here.
That's what I'm saying.
The bigness of the elephant with the peacock.
So, but my advice to everybody is always remain a student, because when you remain a student, that guarantees you, that doesn't even promise you, that guarantees you success for the rest of the life. So I honestly encourage a lot of people that are in the industry to educate yourself. Don't fall into trends. Trends are only going to give you momentary clients. Don't go crazy on promotions. I'd rather give something away than, I don't want to retain nobody on specials. I don't even want to retain water. I want to create fidelity with my clients. So I think that we can base our decisions professionally and personally on necessity, because that literally make us become someone that we're not. And on business, it stab us in the back. So for those, upcoming body sculptors, I encourage them to really, 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 less is more. Go to the basics. Go to the basics, and the basics is go and read, study anatomy, study physiology, study the body from the inside out, learn about the skins, about the densities of the skin. And I guarantee you that you will work less and you will have more optimal results. So that,
I know that the last time I was with I was with Diana, and as I said, the last time I was with her, we did a scalp treatment, and it was amazing. But
that was like last week, right?
But I wanted to bring up that she also, like, she's such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, if you do want to get a tummy tuck, or if you do want to do a BBL, or if you do, like, she's very quick as to saying, okay, well, do you have a doctor? Do you know if the doctor's licensed? Like, she has like all this information, but she also has connections in Colombia, and she also has doctors that she knows, and she also has a heal house with a staff. But I say all this to say that it's very important again, because when I was at the appointment with Diana, we were talking, and it's so true what she told me. Latinos, or just people in general, but I'm speaking from a Latina perspective because I know a lot of Latinas. We're so quick to be like, oh, I'm going to go get the cheapest
I know.
service, right? We're not thinking that that's your
Yeah.
only skin. You're not thinking that that's your
Gonna
only body.
represent
You're
you for
not
the rest
thinking
of
that
it.
that's
Was forever.
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 Right. So why are you going to be skimping on your body, on
That's
yourself,
the one
on
place
your
not to
skin?
skimp.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So, like, to make it even more ridiculous, right? You spend all this money on bullshit, right? On wigs, on lashes, on nails, on whatever the fuck. So spend the money on your skin. Spend the money on the proper doctor. Spend the money on the proper healing. Like, because I know from the horror stories, I've seen it, and I know that Diana has gotten some people that got surgeries. I don't know where the hell, maybe in a back alley in New York, and then they came to her and they say, "Make me pretty." I don't know what
Fix
happened.
me.
I don't know who
Fix
did
me.
this.
Was the problem when people decide to go get surgery? And this is super, and this is, and thank God for this platform, because I could finally say it. You gotta stop being fucking cheap. Stop. Like, if you don't have the money, please save. You have to save. And then once you save and you have your little, but you piggy bank a little bit high, right? That the last $100 bills coming out of the little hole that the piggy has. And what you need to do is literally, number one, you don't call your friend, don't call your mom, don't call nobody. Put a mirror in front of you. And you need to have a talk with yourself. You need to have a talk with yourself. Number one, why am I doing this? For who am I doing this? And if these two answers are for Pepita, blah, 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 and I'm doing this for my husband, you have no business getting this done. You have no business getting that done. Trust me. Number three, you have to stop showing up to doctors or stop following doctors. Every plastic surgeon has a niche. There is doctors that only specialize, they're plastic surgeons, they're specialized in rhinoplasty. There's special doctors that specializes on bronchioplastic, right? These are people who went through a bariatric surgery, and now they have all the skin. There is doctors that specializes for that, right? I went to Mexico to Dr. Galvan, amazing doctor, because I wanted to understand the post-op behind this type of clientele that is so difficult. But anyways, so there is doctors that specializes. If you're boxy, number one, I'm gonna put myself as an example. It doesn't matter how much weight I drop. This is la herencia that my grandma left me, a football player back. So I could be 115 pounds. I have a wide back. No doctor could fix bones. I mean, when modified bones, they could work and take out your floating ribs. The 11 and 12, they could be out. But how are they gonna make you little? This is how Papa sent you. This is you will have to be born again. So when you look yourself in that mirror, if you have, I don't like to say square because nobody's square. You have an athletic body, right? Where your muscles are nice and defined, so that these make you look like this, not with a curvy look. You have to understand that there is doctors that specialize for athletic bodies. You can go to a doctor that keep posting about rhinoplasty. I do and go get. I want some big hips. How do you go from here to the hips? Like, because that doctor, right, is not getting, because the economy is tough everywhere. But that doctor, they say, well, things are slow. Let's throw a BBL for $3,500. But all my posts are rhinoplastic. But here you go,
Mm-hmm.
cheap Pepita, Mom, 35.
No, because it's crazy that you say that because Dr. Payman, where I went for my breast here in Beverly Hills, he does the breast, the BBL, etc. But his partner, Dr. Lakey, specializes in the face. He does the rhinoplasties and anything with the face. So Payman would never be talking about I never even noticed that, but now that you say, I'm like, oh, that makes sense because Lakey. I met him and everything in the process because they're a team, but he was never my doctor. It was never going to be a procedure.
And I guarantee
that
you
he
that
would be.
if he needs to do it, he will. But that's not where he specializes. So do you know
No,
what?
right. He's very knowledgeable in all the spaces because, you get a consult and then it's so crazy because my girlfriend went thinking she wanted to get a breast lift. And he looks at her breasts and he was like, I think your breasts are great. And her concern was she felt like she was looking older. And he's like, you actually really could. And then he suggested a procedure under her eyes and her face. Yeah, and she ended up going to Lakey, never to Payman. She didn't get her breast done, and she looks 12 years younger or whatever. But
I love
to me, those are the signs of a good doctor who's like, you know what? He's like, yeah, okay, because you nursed, one of your breasts is a little lower, but, you should really talk to Lakey about refreshing your face. And to me, in my business, it's always like, just because your uncle is like a real estate attorney doesn't mean he's the one who should be reviewing like your record deal. You get what I'm saying? But in my business, we deal with that all the time. Like, why is your attorney who does divorces sitting with me about a license deal when really there's 10 points he's missing? But I'm not going to tell him those. But it's like, just because you're an attorney doesn't mean someone who does
it everywhere.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you specialize in real estate, great. You have no business to be doing someone's divorce. It's
so it's so the same thing.
But we come from this space of like, pero el abogado me puede ayudar.
Yes.
No.
But listen, it's not just like that.
No.
Sometimes, and we see it a lot in our Latina community, and that this comes from mom. We in every Latina family, we have a lawyer.
Mommy never told me.
We have a judge. We have.
Ella sabe de eso. Eso es leyes son leyes. No.
Yep. So that is something that when people go into having the idea of getting an elective plastic surgery, those three answers are major. You have to have a talk with yourself. I honestly recommend therapy to everybody because that's a form of you staying balanced, with yourself. I would also like to encourage people that are thinking of elective plastic surgeries. Honestly, if you could go for a few sessions with a therapist, because I'm going to tell you this. Nobody has told me. I've seen it. 3 years and a half ago, I was sitting in my house where we recovered people in Colombia, sitting on the floor crying, calling my therapist, shaking, said, "No, this is not true. What the hell is this? What the hell's going on? I have a crazy person." And some people that follow the podcast probably be laughing on their pants because they know because they were there. After surgery, emotions are like a roller coaster. And you confuse the pain from the surgery from an internal pain. This is real. Nobody can. Worse than when women are in their period. You get so emotional that if you say, "Honey, you want me to put the fork there today," but then tomorrow you say, "You want the fork there?" It's like that. So for the first time, I was literally in a corner, sitting down in the kitchen, calling my therapist, and then said, like, I need to go. I'm leaving everybody here behind. I need to go. Because I have never experienced something like that. After that episode, I literally came home and I started talking to therapists. And somebody really, really wise told me, "Diana, how painful is it an abdominoplastic, a tummy tuck?" Tummy tucks are uncomfortable. Tummy tucks are very uncomfortable, but painful. They're not that painful. They're very uncomfortable and they restrict you. But to the point where people are crying every single day, that's because they don't know how to manage the internal pain that they are inside. So that's why I encourage people to literally, not only having your primary doctor involved, but also having your therapist, your therapist involved. Don't feel like, oh, I don't want to tell nobody your business. Dude, this is for you.
What is
This is like,
people
this
with
is
that?
because nowadays everybody want to be private but post everything on social media. So it's like,
Right.
so
Right. Selective with your privacy when I'm 10 chapters into your relationship. But I wanted to say when I had my breast reduction, it's funny that you said that because Diana knows that I had my breast reduction. I was a 32JK for a long time. I've always been very heavy in my breast, and I always wanted to get the reduction, but it took me years. I looked for doctors, I did my research, and I landed here. But I had my surgery, and a week later, I felt like I made a huge mistake because I felt less feminine. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like a boy. I feel like a boy. And also my breast hadn't set, and Dr. Payman, of course, is like when he took out the wrap, he was like, trust me, Rocio, they're going to sit nice. I was like, oh my God, I'm so flat chested. I made the wrong decision.
She is not
but in my head,
but I gotta tell you.
But in my head, I was like, oh my God, I feel like a boy. I feel like a boy. I feel like a boy. And it wasn't until I kind of like prayed about it, made peace with it. And then they sat and, you got to trust the process or whatever. And this is me after doing research, after wanting this. I knew I wanted it. Like, it's the best decision I made. But to echo what you're saying, I know people who've had gastric and are fat again because they never did the therapy. They never did the work inside.
But look at just what you were saying. You had big boobs, right? You really went to a specialist because anybody that has, because look at we go back to body structure. You're very small on the top. So you have a really petite figure, right? So I could only imagine physically how big they look, but also your back pain, right? So
that's why I did it.
Back pain. But look at how he is a specialist, because somebody that is reducing that amount, right, of tissue, he went and did lipografting. It was one of the first questions that they put. For them to look perky, two things have to happen: implants, saline, or lipografting, that is fat transfer from one part of the body to another. So if he did lipografting, this is a doctor that knows what he's doing. This is somebody who not only cares about money, but also known. And I'm pretty sure that this was a conversation that you guys had, that you probably said, I want them to be perky, but I don't want no substances in my body. I don't want no plastic. I don't want no implant. I don't want no saline. What can be the option? Anyone else would tell you, no, just to lift. This person, because let me tell you something, lipografting, I've been in the OR where lipografting is an art. It's an art. It's a beat. Not every doctor could do lipografting. They say they do because it involves fat and a little bit of tissue to make that little plumpiness, that little projection, so they don't look as saggy, right? As how they probably would look just with a lift. The amount of people, and this is why I always encourage people, if you're looking for surgery, look for consultants, look for people that could educate you. Amount of clients that I have with your situation that have big breasts and they decide to go into a reduction, right? They do a mastopexia and they say, this is what I want. I want to get rid of this big breast. But you don't count that if you don't get nothing in there, you're literally going to look flat. And when you lay down, this is going to look like pancakes, like this. It's just like that. So when they come, but what did your doctor say? I saw my doctor the same day of the surgery. No, no, no. You
Oh,
have
that's
to.
awful.
This is why I say you have to spend the time and the money. If your doctor is in Miami, buy a ticket, go and see him in person. Matter of fact, take the Magic Market and go like this to your breast and say, this is what I'm looking for. Is it realistic or not? Because what happened is that once the procedure is done, there is no turn back. And if your doctor doesn't give you options, or if he tells you, lipografting is really, which I love the lipografting. I have plenty clients that have flew with me to Colombia. They have done lipografting and their breasts look natural, beautiful. And they also understand that it's fat. So if you work out, if you drop weight, it's
Gonna turn
gonna,
to muscle.
right? But it could also go bye-bye. And with time, the fat, like anything else, the body's going to reabsorb it, and they're going to look a little bit saggy. But you want the natural look, so that's the natural look that you're looking for. For now, enjoy your plumpiness. So what I'm trying to say with this is, like, you have to really make the time, make it a priority. Make it a priority to get to know who is your plastic surgeon. You cannot be chasing the $2,500 procedure. You cannot be chasing a deal, because let me tell you, you're
end
going
up
to get
paying
it
for
done.
it in the end. You end up paying for it, though.
People say, "Oh, but I paid."
You either look
You went for
crazy.
a deal. You got a deal. You got it. You got a deal. So
you know what I don't
that
understand?
is not where you want to get. That is not where you want to get a deal.
You know what I don't understand, and I know that a lot of the people, they probably listen and they probably watch, but I don't give a fuck. When people got services, or when they went to you to get services, right, and they want to keep everything we know that you got a new ass. We know that you got new titties. Like, what the fuck? You ain't have them at that ass in middle school. You had kids, you ain't got that ass. Like, what's really going on? Like, I've known you your whole life.
But you want to know
why not
why?
give the props?
People are very, and I think we talked about this when you came for the session. People are very judgmental, And I told Diana, I said, at 30, I'm going to be 36. And so I'm still 35. Let me take that back. I'm 35, right?
Right.
And
35.
at 35, I realized if I need to hide things from my circle, I'm in the wrong circle. I'm in the wrong circle. If one thing is being private, but I'm at the point in my life that if I have cellulite. If I'm with my girlfriend and I need to switch and then I need to change and I have to tell her, can you go? We're not. No. I need to.
Diana, now you understand why I'm always naked. It means I love you.
So, but it's you know what I mean? It's like people that are really always hiding stuff. It's because they are in the wrong circle. They truly are. They are in the wrong circles.
And they have a lot of insecurities
because
too.
Literally,
why not?
You pay for it. You pay for. Nobody finance your surgery. You pay for it. You enhance that. On top of that, you're paying for the procedures after. What there's to hide? There is nothing. There is nothing to hide. To each his own. But I literally tell you, a lot of people are in the wrong circle, in the wrong environment, and that's why they feel like that. And then with all the criticism and all the bullying that it is about people saying, oh, instead of going to the gym, they went and got surgery. Hold it there. There is things. I encourage everybody. I encourage everybody to go literally to the gym. Not only physically, but because health-wise, you gotta keep the movement, right? So, but there is just certain things like loose skin, a breast reduction, a breast reduction. There is just certain things that the gym will not take care of. So if this is something for you to feel good with yourself, and this is something that is literally going to boost your confidence, why do you need to hide it? Not that you have to go and social.
Right. Just tell them.
And it's in your circle. Why not? You might be helping somebody with the right connection, with the right doctor, with the right advice.
I've had people that told me, I say, oh my God, you look amazing, right? And then they say, oh girl, I went to Colombia and got this done. I got the doctor's name you wanted. It was amazing. I went to this heel house, right? To me, I have more risk, and mind you, keep your privacy, whatever. But I have more respect for somebody that's like confident in that regard. That's like, hey, oh yeah, girl, I got this and this and this and this and that, right? And then the person's like, oh, I've been doing 100 squats every day for the last 2 months. Bitch, you wasn't here for 2 months. You was gone. You wasn't
I did
here.
the squat challenge. I did the squat challenge.
Wait a minute. You were gone for 2 months. You weren't even in America. No, but it's just crazy because, like, it's been a couple times. So people confuse the Dianas. So they say, oh my God, Diana, I didn't know you were going on the trip. And you know me, yo bien pronta. What trip? I mean, to Colombia, this person's going, this person's going, this person's going, this person getting this person getting that, this person. I was like, oh, it must be Diana Zapata. But I'm not going. But then I found out all these people.
They're like, thanks for the tea.
Getting shit done.
No, I don't think there's no shame in the game. You know, you do it for you. You do it for you. Now, again, if you look yourself in the mirror and the answer is like me, for example, I'm the perfect example. When I went and got surgery done, I didn't do it because of me. I did it because I was in an abused relationship where I was constantly getting, wasn't being treated well. We both were very immature, and I said, you know what, if I do this, maybe he will look at me how before I had my child. I did it. I got surgery done, and still that emptiness that I felt inside, it was still there. And it was just self-love. I needed to pour it into the bucket that was empty, that he wasn't responsible for. That's why I don't hold no grudges to nobody, because nobody's responsible for my happiness but me. So as long as you understand that this is something to harmonize the exterior of your body, not the interior of your bucket, that is your heart, you are in clearance to go. But if you're doing it because you want to look like the person in the magazine, if you are doing it because it's trendy, we could talk about Kim K. She went from being volume to look how thin she is. So you can't keep up with the trend of thick, slim, thick. First of all, you don't got that kind of money.
Right.
You first of all, you don't have that kind of money. Second of all, the troll that your skin is going, that you're going to put your skin through. And then you're not being you. You need to be organically you. You have to be you, because you have to embrace who you are with the flaws, with you. You have to be
stretch
you.
marks with the cellulite, all that. So let me tell you two things. Two things. One thing at 35, for you to already know this, it's fucking amazing. Because I know 40-something-year-olds and 50-something-year-olds que están perdidas. They lost out here in these streets. They still trying to, cater to everybody and make sure that this person knows that I have this much money. Oh, and this person, they have to know that I'm amazing. Oh, and this person over here, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? They're so busy trying to make sure everybody else know. But then the emptiness is so crazy. The emptiness. So for you to know that at 35, girl. Big thing. Big things. Y se me olvidó the second thing, fíjate. That's that mind go. Oh, here goes the second thing. Since you brought Kim K up, right?
Oh,
it came back. So Rocio and I were talking about Khloe Kardashian.
Oh shit.
Talk about that, Rocio. She went from being this
I was gonna
wide
ask
person.
Dr. Payman. I was gonna
She's
ask
tall.
Payman
She was
because
tall
I
and
was
she was
like,
a big girl. And now
she
she's
went
like,
from being football-y to like, I mean, again, I have a special place for the Kardashians in my heart,
oh
but
yeah, listen, they got the
I
hustle,
think my
all that
biggest
shit.
question is she went from being football-y. She was a
The
I
thickest
would say
one.
A thicker
athletic,
girl. She was just
a bigger
thicker girl. Yeah.
athletic build. To her arms, it looks like her bone structure, which is funny because you were talking about the bone structure. I'm like, she's now a slim woman. Like her arms are slim in her structure and her composition. And I'm like, I know they have surgeons on speed dial and surgery rooms in their house and all this shit.
Oh shit.
But how?
So look at if you look at her, Chloe was never football.
Oh, she was just, it was just weight probably,
she was
right?
she was just fat.
Heavy.
Heavier.
She was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
She was full of love, full of food.
Full of love.
But
love it. I love it.
But
she's my favorite, by the way. She's my favorite.
She was never big. She never had a wide back. Never. So when she started dropping, she did it the right way. If you go back into the journey, she never posted anything about being on a diet. She kept posting about how she was working out. So she did it actually the hardest way. Whoever was her trainer, had it nice and clear, and she was very patient, and I'm pretty sure the food had a major effect on the results that we see today. But honestly, her body structure was never in a big wide back. That was, go back to the pictures, she was just big.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe because she sits next to smaller women, like as her sisters, she always looked so, and she's big. Very tall.
Yeah.
So she always looked so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being tall helped her. That means she's super slim. Svelte. She's very svelte. So all she had was volume. Because remember, when somebody tall gets a little bit weight, it's going to show a lot more. Mm-hmm. They're going to look like big bone. And sometimes they're not even big bone. No, you're big. Mm-hmm. There's no big bone. You're big. You need to drop weight. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So her being that made her look a little bit more bulky. But when she started her journey working out. So she started building up muscle and then dropping. Building up muscle and dropping.
I know
she has no saggy skin.
But I know
she definitely has had surgery. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weight loss.
But she looks amazing.
I think
she looks
great.
amazing.
Because she was actually the thinner one, and then Kim jumped on.
Mm-hmm.
To being the thin,
yeah. Because then she
and
switched
look at them now;
they're all
super thin.
So
you can't go.
Everybody
you can't go by trends.
Everybody got that Ozempic.
Yeah.
Diana, this conversation has taken a whole nother turn, but in specific to the American, which I love, this is what this podcast is about. Mm-hmm. But specific to the American dream, what is it like? If you could look back and I do have a good question.
Go ahead, ask it. What? You forget it.
Now, exactly, because I forget everything. At 35, what would you say to 6-year-old Diana in Colombia?
Oh my God.
That's a good question.
Wait.
Don't cry. Okay, we love a cry. We love a good cry.
I would say to the little Diana that today a healed Diana could hold her hand, right? And tell her that take a day at a time. I will teach her how to breathe. And I will tell her that God does exist. And he plays a big, big role. That when we think that God is not close to us, because we're going through a lot of transitions, is when he's the closest, standing his hand. So I'll tell her to join me along in this new version of me, in this new healed version of me, where there's no resentment, where there's no anger, where there is nothing but love. Love for everybody in my past, welcoming love for the people that are coming in the future. And I would just tell her that take a day at a time. That's what I would tell her.
So sweet.
You got me with that
I
one.
love that.
Yeah.
So what was your question, Rosie? You said you had a great question.
So that's my great question, the 6-year-old.
Okay.
But then of course, for the viewers and for women, we also have a lot of men viewers, but for women specifically who might be at that stage where you were earlier when you decided to pivot from nursing to more wellness, and you had that experience with Tammy Cook, and now you speak of it like before Tammy and after Tammy. What would be like 3 nuggets of advice that you would give or want to leave people? You've dropped so many gems this whole episode, so I know it's a little hard, but like 3 nuggets of advice for women who are kind of like on the verge, because even what you've said several times, like feeling the joy in your hands and your feet. I think a lot of us live our whole lives and we never
feel it.
We never feel the joy in our hands and our feet. We kind of just go through the motions, or we get this job, or because like your mom, in our upbringing is like, we're not like, Caucasian kids, and not to be stereotypical, where they could take a year in backpack. Like, no, you need to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody can fund your dreams. Like it's very far in between where you're like, yeah, go dream, go take a year to think about what you want.
Get a
No,
parent.
it's like, hell no.
Go back through Europe.
Right? Like go find yourself. And my mom will be like, you find yourself right here.
Find yourself
in a job. Exactly. What would you what are 3 things, or what do you tell people to encourage them to be like
So I think those 3 things I would not only say to somebody that is an entrepreneur, it's in general.
100%. Yeah.
Identify who you are. You have to identify who you are. I know it's heavy, but we are capable of identifying who we are. And there's a lot of people that with identification, you really need to be true to yourself. And I struggle with this a lot, because I have worked through the years how to don't make it so harsh. Not everybody's for the front line. Not everybody. There's people that need to be behind the scenes. And that doesn't make you less because you're behind the scenes. People that we like to be in the front line, we would not be in the front line if it wasn't for those people in the back scenes. So identify where you're strong. Identify where you're good at. Because if you're good at just being the photographer, it's not just being the photographer. You are an amazing photographer. If you sell fajas, you are the best faja seller. You are a faja specialist. Whatever you decide to be in life, identify your position, because that's where you're going to shine. That's where the real shine comes. Mm-hmm. We see it in the football games. We see it in the soccer games. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can be a quarterback. No, we can't have a game full of quarterbacks. Mm-hmm.
Somebody got to catch the ball.
When you identify who you are,
that's a good one.
Trust me. Trust me when I tell you. And when you identify who you are, you will not care if they put you in the position that you're supposed to, because you know that's who you are, and it's going to be so much room for evolution. Mm-hmm. So that's number 1. Number 2, accept yourself. Accept yourself physically, emotionally, because I'm here to tell you this. We are brought up, oh no, that's how I feel physically, but mentally I'm strong. No. If you're not right mentally, you're not right physically. That is 100%. Your body and your brain are the same body.
Mm-hmm.
So if here's not right, the functionality in your body is not.
Mm-hmm.
You need to nurture yourself with love. You need to surround yourself with the right people, and the right people is not the one the same thing as you. The right people is the people that have the same value as you. So just know that, you have to nurture yourself and accept yourself just how you are. Don't change for nobody. Be yourself. Be yourself, because that makes you unique. That makes you unique. That makes you, God made you like that. He made you like that. That's how special you are. That you're freaking unique. You are one piece in this world. That's how unique you are. And the third one, fucking dream. And dream big. Don't dream small. Dream big. And believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, ain't nobody believing on you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like the three major things. But before the one, always consult with the guide up there. He got you 24/7. He doesn't sleep. Imagine how special we are that he doesn't sleep watching each and one of us. We have a freaking personal bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my advice. My four. You asked me for three, but I give you four.
No, I love it.
No, that was good.
God don't count. That goes without question.
What came out as you were talking, what came up in my head was being comfortable with the uncomfortable, because with uncomfortableness comes growth. And people are so uncomfortable with the uncomfortable, they run. They run from the uncomfortable. And that's why when Rocio was talking about people wanting businesses and it just is an idea in their head and that's where it stays. Yeah, that's where it stays. And there's always people talking. Okay, so what? People are like, oh, she opened that business, but they didn't do good. But
it happened even with this podcast, Diana. You remember when you launched the pod, people were like, oh wow, and Diana's like, we talked about it and we said we're just gonna do it.
Right. And we did it.
Yeah.
Right.
But in that people are like, oh man, you did the podcast.
If you just had one view, do it.
Right. Yeah. Right. But even if it doesn't matter, even if when you're doing it and if it fails, okay, you fall down and you get up and now you learned what things didn't work and what things you need to do to make it work. And another thing that I want to say, if you know that you want to do something in a specific space or whatever, try to get the training right. But then before you get into it, like let's say if you're trying to get into nursing, if you're trying to look for somebody like a Diana, or look for somebody like that, you know that you're going to go up to them and they're going to give you gems. They're going to say, okay, well, this is what worked for me. It may not necessarily work for you, but okay, go do this if you want to do this. Look for a mentor. Look for a guide. Look for somebody that's going to give you, I don't know, like a resource.
Guidance. Right. Going to guide you.
There's a lot of people, there's nothing that you're going to do unless it's an invention, right? But there's nothing really that you want to do that you get an idea that's not out here, right? So there's always something that's connected. So we're humans, and networking is such a natural thing to do. So, okay, you're uncomfortable with having to go ask Diana how she opened her first business. Okay, so what? Go ask her, because she'll probably tell you, okay, this is what happened, but don't do this because this didn't work. But it might work for you. You know what I'm saying? So be uncomfortable. So what? So that came up in my head because I know in your transitioning, and I know that you say you're proud of me, but Diana, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
You, I mean, and like we talked about when we were doing the which you guys need to go get that scalp treatment. I'm just saying. But
after I get mine.
No, they got to get it. And I said we will post all the information so you guys can go
I'm like,
and
she's
get
gonna be
books and all that stuff. No, but
Yeah,
for real, you
and
have to.
shout out to Jackie Beauty Bar,
Oh my! Oh yeah.
she is a curly queen. She literally um she taught me so much, so much, so much. It came very natural to me because it literally is the skin. But how I started, when I started doing it, I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't doing it right. And I caught myself. I said, wait a minute. This is, I bought everything that was on trend. And I said, something is not right. Because the skin is not doing what I needed to do. It took me 2 days to be able to realize that and be able to call the right person for the right training, right? So as soon as we got that, we were still in the model phase. So during the first two models that we did, I wasn't happy with the results. And we literally got the right person in for the proper training. So literally shout outs to Jackie. She's very knowledgeable, someone that I look up to. And again, like what you piggyback right in what you were saying, look for people that would nurture you and would not hide nothing from you, because they also want you to be as successful, more
They
successful.
want you to win. Yeah.
They want you to win.
Yep.
So yeah.
So Diana's
Thank
been
you. You're more
successful.
welcome.
Girl, she's been successful in so many different avenues, and she continues to grow, and she continues to grow her knowledge, and she continues to provide all these services that otherwise we wouldn't know about as Latinas, because I'm not going to Avon and Simsbury to go get anything done. First of all, they don't know me. They don't know me. They may know skin, they may know white skin, but not brown skin.
100%.
They may know, hair, but they don't know curly hair. You know what I'm saying? So, and they don't know me. So I'm gonna go in there, and first of all, they're gonna be looking at me like, "What are you doing here?" Up and down, like, "What you doing here?" You know what I'm saying? So to be able to have these services from someone that not only is knowledgeable, not only is certified, not only is trained and continues to get training, but that's also an empath, that's also connected, that's also not looking just for the money, because hello, she's not looking for just the money. If that was the case, right, if that was the case, Diana, we know, and I'm not going to say, but if that was
it
the
comes
case,
from here.
right, it comes from the heart.
It comes
And
from the
when those
heart.
hands get on your body or your head, you gonna thank us. I'm telling you.
I can't wait to see you, Rocio.
I know. I'm like. And also, real talk, this is why Cositas exist, to support Latina businesses. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to show up for each other and support each other. It's like Diana was saying at the beginning, our moms did the best they could, but it's our turn to break these chains of like, yeah, you want to dream, you want to try, you should try it. Like, I have a friend who does this and this, and Diana and I subscribe to that. And sometimes in my career, it's hurt me, but I won't change who I am. I'm very much like a dot connector. Like, sometimes I get something out of it, sometimes I don't, but it doesn't cost me anything to be like, yeah, let me just make a call. Yeah, she's super cool. Yeah, she can help you. I mean, I don't know, I've never done this, but she has, and and there's people always get into this mindset, and I'm like, McDonald's and Burger King exist, and so does Wendy's, and so does Uber and Lyft, and it's like, just because these things exist doesn't mean, but it already exists. Okay. And it's
make it better. And like I was we was having this conversation actually as we were talking about networking, and Diana was telling me about the therapist. What's her name, Diana? So I told her that we're open to have therapists because we had Noelle, and we're looking to have other therapists. So for next season, we'll have
for sure.
What's her name? Let's shout her out.
Her name is Monica. Monica Alvarenga.
So there you go.
I love her. She is someone that works with the community, is for the community, and she's someone that is so knowledgeable. And honestly, in this transition that this year brought to me, she's been a rock. She's been fundamental. So doesn't have to be Monica, but like I feel like
No. When you
bringing more
say
awareness of mental health into these programs, into this
absolutely.
platform, and normalizing that, especially in our culture, in
Mm-hmm.
our culture that is still a taboo. It's still a taboo.
Mm-hmm.
It will. It doesn't matter if it doesn't change the world, but as long as we change one mindset, we
Mm-hmm.
change one world. So,
Baby steps.
There you go.
so yeah, I,
Love
I
that.
I would
As
love
long
to
as you
have to
change one
see
mindset, we change
more,
one world.
to see more of that in here. I love your content. I am so happy that I was here with you guys.
Absolutely.
This
No,
was
we're so
great.
thankful.
This was
Thank you so
awesome. And
much for
we'll
your
have
time.
Monica on.
Gracias for listening to Cositas Mommy Never Told Me. We hope you loved this episode. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and share Cositas Mommy Never Told Me on all your social channels. Todas las redes sociales. And don't forget, if you want in on the real tea and see all of our reactions to the craziness, watch this episode on YouTube. ¡Qué bochinche!